Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The movie Afterburn starts, and we find out that the world has ended. And the world ended because of a solar flare. That's when the sun flares up massively, and as a result, wipes out all technology systems and destroys them. When all the tech systems went down, people thought governments would be able to handle the situation, but that never happened. Governments collapsed, and in Europe, a lot of people appeared who became known as warlords. These, by the way, are people who took advantage of the chaos and destruction happening in the world and created their own kingdoms in Europe, ruling and dividing them among themselves. So after we get to know the state of the world, we meet Jake. We learn that Jake, before the end of the world, used to work as a bounty hunter, meaning if someone needed to find a person, governments or anyone needed to reach someone, he'd find them. If there was, say, a treasure someone was looking for, he'd find that too, and so on. Most of Jake's work before the world ended was actually underwater or at the bottom of oceans and seas, because he was always searching for treasures and stuff that had sunk to the bottom centuries ago. After the world ended, Jake is still working as a bounty hunter. Honestly, he's still killing it at this job even after the apocalypse. In any case, we see Jake now in London, England. He goes to an abandoned building, heads up to an apartment, and starts searching for a secret door until he finds it. When he does, he opens it and finds a safe inside. He keeps trying to open the safe. In the end, he manages to unlock it and takes out, literally, a violin or a small guitar that was inside a box. We find out that Jake came all this way, risking danger and the end of the world, just to get this violin or guitar. Anyway, once Jake is done and he's about to leave, he doesn't get the chance because suddenly another gang bursts in. They came to steal the same thing. The gang leader tells Jake to hand over the guitar box he's got, but Jake refuses and tells the gang and his men that they'd better leave now or he'll have to take them out. Unfortunately, they don't listen, so Jake decides to show them his other side. Without warning, Jake starts fighting them, taking them out one by one, finishing them all off. Only the gang leader is left, and Jake blows him up with a grenade. Not long after, Jake arrives at a city guarded by military forces and others. We find out this city belongs to a guy named King August, one of the warlords I mentioned at the start, who managed to gather an army, build a city, and crown himself king. Anyway, Jake enters the city and meets a woman named Fuentes, who is the Minister of Defense in King August's city. Jake gives Fuentes the guitar he just retrieved, because, by the way, King August was the one who hired Jake to get it. Fuentes tells Jake that King August wants him for another mission, this time in France. In return, King August will give Jake a big boat, and by the way, Jake's dream for ages has been to build a boat so he can travel the world freely. But Jake tells Fuentes the mission is way too hard and France is far away, so he's not going to do it. As for the boat, he figures he'll eventually build one himself, and he leaves. After that, Fuentes goes to King August and tells him Jake refused the mission. King August tells her he'll go talk to Jake himself. Meanwhile, we see Jake arrive at his place, which is totally booby-trapped and super secure so he can sleep safely. You could say he's built himself a tiny little city, like a house for a pound. Anyway, Jake goes in and meets his dog, Smoke, feeds him, then goes to sleep. While he's sleeping, Jake dreams he's on the boat he's always wanted. But after a while, he hears a noise outside and wakes up. He goes out to see what's up and finds that one of King August's soldiers has fallen into one of Jake's traps. Jake asks the soldier what he wants, and the soldier tells him King August is here and wants to meet him. So Jake goes to see King August. They sit down, and King August tells him he wants him to go to France and bring something back. In return, he'll give Jake the boat he's always wanted, fully stocked with food and supplies for a long journey. That makes Jake start thinking about the offer, and he asks August what exactly he wants from France. August tells him he wants him to go to France and bring back the famous Mona Lisa painting. He explains that France was the first country hit by the solar flare, so the government moved all the country's treasures, including the Mona Lisa, to a safe location or vault. Jake's mission is to go to that vault, open it, and bring back the Mona Lisa. August tells him that France is now ruled by another warlord, General Volkov, and his men are everywhere. They'll definitely try to stop Jake, so he needs to be extra careful. In the end, August says Jake will travel to France using a plane he owns, so the trip won't be as hard. Finally, Jake agrees, and they make a deal. A bit later, we see Jake go to Fuentes and ask her to look after his dog, Smoke, until he gets back. Fuentes agrees, and it seems like she and Jake are friends. Anyway, the next day, Jake goes to August, who explains the plan. Jake will fly to France, get the Mona Lisa, then connect with a group called the Rebels, who'll help him get back to England and King August. The Rebels are fighting against General Volkov's rule in France. Jake agrees to all this, gets on the plane with August's pilot, and they take off. As soon as they're in the air, Jake falls asleep and has the same dream about being on his boat, super happy. But after a while, he wakes up startled because something weird happens on the plane. Jake asks the pilot what's going on, and the pilot tells him General Volkov's men are shooting at the plane. Right now, Jake has to jump out with a parachute because there's no way the pilot can land the plane in all this chaos. Jake agrees, grabs a parachute, and jumps out of the plane. Thankfully, he lands safely. And just like that, Jake finally arrives in France to start his mission. But here's the problem. As soon as Jake gets to France, he runs right into a tank. And this tank belongs to General Volkov's forces. The guys inside are just about to open fire on Jake, but luckily they don't don't get the chance because a group of rebels shows up and attacks the tank. Jake uses the chaos to escape. Meanwhile, in another city, we finally see General Volkov. He's got someone kidnapped and tells him to play chess with him. The poor guy doesn't even know how to play, so he just finishes him off. Anyway, Volkov's assistant shows up and tells him that a plane landed today in another city in France, and someone parachuted down. Now that person is on French soil, but nobody knows what he's up to yet. Volkov gets pissed and tells his assistant they're heading to that city to track this guy down and figure out who he is and what he wants. The assistant agrees, and they all take their train toward the city where Jake is. Back to Jake. He's wandering around the city and sees some of Volkov's troops rounding people up in the main square. They execute two people named Dom and Lolo. Jake doesn't care. He just keeps moving. Suddenly, 3 of Volkov's soldiers stop him and ask what's in his bags. Of course, Jake isn't about to tell them he's got weapons or anything, so he just gets into a fight with them, takes down all 3, even though he gets hurt himself. Then a 4th soldier shows up and is about to kill Jake, but out of nowhere, a girl named Daria appears and kills the guy. Daria tells Jake she's with the rebels, she works for August, and she's here to help him. Jake's super happy and goes with Daria, who takes him to her secret hideout. On the way, one of August's officers spots Jake and Daria together and doesn't like the look of it, so he decides to follow them. Not long after, Jake and Daria arrive at the church, which is Daria's base. Inside, they meet another rebel named Father Samson. Father Samson tells Jake and Daria he's got a sweet car ready for them to head to the secret vault and grab the Mona Lisa. He even gives them a map to the vault. By the way, that map was stolen by Dom and Lolo, and they were executed because they stole it from Volkov's men. Father Samson also tells them there's a military base in the city called Swilly, and the secret vault with the Mona Lisa is probably there. He warns them that Swilly is home to the Rice Gang, cannibals, so they'd better be careful. Samson finishes talking and says goodbye, but before they can leave, they hear that Volkov's troops have arrived at the church. Samson tells Jake and Daria to get ready to escape. He'll go out and distract the soldiers. He steps outside and finds a ton of soldiers waiting, led by the same officer who was suspicious of Jake and Daria. Samson tries to convince the officer there's nobody inside the church, but the guy doesn't buy it. So Samson pulls out his gun and shoots the officer in the shoulder. The officer loses it, and his men open fire on Samson, killing him in a shocking scene. After that, the officer tells his men to storm the church. They do, and 4 of them reach Daria and Jake, but Daria takes them all out with serious skill. Then she and Jake hop in the car, bulletproof and everything, and Jake, being an awesome driver, manages to escape the soldiers chasing them. That night, Jake and Daria stop somewhere to rest. Jake asks her why she's helping him get to the Mona Lisa when it's supposed to be his mission alone. Daria explains that the vault with the Mona Lisa also has a ton of weapons, and Volkov has been trying to get to them for years. So Daria and her rebel group want to get there before Volkov does, and that's why they're helping Jake and August. Meanwhile, General Volkov, his assistant, and his men arrive in the city where Jake and Daria were. Volkov meets the officer who was in charge there and finds out Jake and Daria escaped. Volkov loses his mind, realizing this was the guy who parachuted in. He orders his assistant to kill the officer for failing, and the assistant does it without hesitation. Then Volkov and his crew keep moving, still after Jake and Daria. Speaking of Jake and Daria, they reach Swilly and get to the base where the vault is supposed to be. Daria's super nervous and tells Jake this is Rice Gang territory. Being here is extremely dangerous because those guys could be hiding anywhere and ambush them at any moment. Jake asks the obvious question, who are the Rice Gang? Daria explains they're made up of extremely dangerous prisoners who were locked up in maximum security before the world ended. When everything collapsed, they broke out, formed the Rice Gang, and took over the city. Now, if they see anyone passing through, or even just catch a glimpse, they kill them. And not only that, they eat the bodies after. Meanwhile, Jake gets scared and realizes with Daria that they need to finish their job as quickly as possible and get out before they run into the Rice Gang. Daria agrees with him, and they head straight to the military base to check if the Mona Lisa stash is there or not. They enter the base and start searching all over, hoping to find the Mona Lisa painting, or at least the stash where it's kept. Unfortunately, they don't find anything, but they do come across a notebook with notes written by the last soldier who was stationed there. In the notebook, he says the Rice Gang reached the city and took it over, so they had to relocate everything from this base to a safer one in a completely different city. The soldier even wrote down the latitude and longitude coordinates of the new location. Jake and Daria figure out the exact spot of the new base thanks to those coordinates. So far, so good, except that right at that moment, the Rice Gang shows up at the base and decides to attack. Jake quickly plants a bomb in the place, grabs Daria, and they escape. The Rice Gang enters, and boom, the bomb goes off and wipes them out. And just so you know, Not long after, Volkov, his assistant, and their men also arrive at the base. They find the same notebook Jake and Darya found, so they figure out where to go next. Before they leave, Volkov finds one of the Rice gang members still alive, kills him on the spot, grabs his men, and heads out. On the other side, we see Darya and Jake on their way to the new base. Darya uses her radio to talk to the rebels and arranges to meet them at the base so they can hand over the Mona Lisa and deliver it to August. Jake and Darya reach the base and find that it's running entirely on solar panels, so it still has power, even though the rest of the world is dead. Jake starts checking the base maps and figures out where the secret vault is. It's supposed to be under the base. But to get down there, Jake has to go through the base's ventilation system, meaning he'll have to get past some huge fans. The fans need to be shut off for Jake to get down safely, so he asks Darya to go outside and destroy the solar panels to cut the power. Darya agrees, heads out, and uses Jake's grenade launcher to blow up the solar panels powering the whole base. Meanwhile, Jake uses a rope to lower himself down to the vault below, but the ventilation fan is still running, and the rope can't handle it. It's about to snap, and Jake is about to fall into the fan and get shredded. Luckily, at that moment, Darya destroys the solar panels, the power goes out, and the fan stops. Jake manages to get down and finds himself in a flooded area, swims through it, and finally reaches the secret vault. When he gets there, he's in for a shock. He actually finds the Mona Lisa, but the big twist is that the Mona Lisa is actually a nuclear bomb, not a painting or anything like that. The bomb's name is literally Mona Lisa. Jake gets furious, realizing August tricked him. He waits for Darya to show up, and when she arrives, he asks her if she knew the Mona Lisa was a nuke and not a painting. Darya admits she knew all along. It's a nuclear bomb, not a painting. She's been helping August from the beginning to make sure he gets the bomb before Volkov does, because Volkov is crazy and would cause massive destruction with it. The world can't handle that, so it's better for August to have the bomb than Volkov. Jake asks her how she knows August won't use it just like Volkov would. He tells her he doesn't trust August at all, so he won't complete the mission and walks away. As soon as Jake leaves, the rebels, Darya's friends, arrive at the vault and take the bomb, planning to deliver it to August themselves. But that's not going to happen, because Volkov and his men show up on their train and attack Darya and the rebels, wipe them out, take the bomb, and leave. At this point, Jake realizes he made a mistake leaving Darya behind. You could say he's actually fallen for her, so he decides to go back and help. He returns to the vault and finds all of Darya's men dead, but Darya is still alive, though wounded in her leg. He treats her quickly and learns everything that happened while he was gone. He tells her they need to go after Volkov's train together and blow it up to get the bomb back. Darya agrees to the plan. Jake grabs explosives and a bunch of weapons from the vault, but before leaving, he plants more explosives to blow up the vault so no one else can get their hands on the weapons inside. As he leaves with Darya in the car, boom, the vault explodes, just like Jake wanted from the start, so no one else can get to those weapons. Now Jake and Darya head for Volkov's train to destroy it. Jake tells Darya he'll board the train and steal the activation button Volkov uses for the nuke, while Darya will go to a spot ahead on the train's route, a bridge, and blow it up so when the train reaches it, it'll crash, killing Volkov and his crew. They agree on the plan. Jake jumps onto Volkov's train, gets inside, and immediately starts blowing things up. He detonates a bomb and kills a bunch of Volkov's soldiers. He moves through the train, taking out every soldier he comes across, one after another, with brutal skill. Eventually, he reaches Volkov's assistant, who tries to shoot Jake with a pistol, but Jake dodges every shot and finally gets to Volkov himself. Volkov tries to shoot Jake too, but misses and ends up killing his own assistant. Jake and Volkov get into a fierce fight. Jake manages to defeat Volkov and snatches the nuke's activation button from him before escaping. Meanwhile, Darya plants a bomb on the bridge the train is heading for and blows it up. A few moments later, the train arrives. So the place collapses, and of course he falls off the bridge. The train is completely destroyed, and Volkov dies, along with the rest of his men. As for Jake, he goes back to Darya, and she's super happy he's okay. Right there, she confesses to Jake that she loves him, and Jake tells her he loves her too. Jake heads back to England, goes to August City, meets August, and gives him the activation button for the nuclear bomb. Jake tells August that the bomb is in France, at the train bridge, but it won't explode and no one can do anything with it unless they have the button, which is now with August. He tells August that he didn't bring him the bomb so he wouldn't cause any disasters, but he brought him the button so, if August really wants to keep the bomb out of the hands of those other people, at least with the button, without it, the bomb can't go off. So, both sides win. They thank Jake for completing the mission, and he finds out his boat is waiting for him on the water. Jake is happy, says goodbye to August, and leaves. Now Jake goes to the boat, where Darya is waiting, and we find out that Jake and Darya plan to spend their lives together because they love each other. They're going to travel the whole world with that boat and get married. As for August, we see him go to some secret spot in his city, and there's the Mona Lisa painting, which August actually got a long time ago, right after the end of the world. Now, August adds the nuclear bomb's activation button to his vault, so the bomb joins all his other treasures, and with that, the movie ends. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.